Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back into 700zone.com's video blogs. My name is Chris Dimino. Let us get to the subject du jour. How about 10 venues in the United States, sporting venues that absolutely hold their place in history in no particular order? Let's just actually run through a couple of the places that you've seen on TV, maybe even visited, certainly understand and remember some of the great moments that have happened in any and all of them. We'll run through right here with the help, of course, of our trusty computer, the second greatest invention in the history of the world. Behind the high heel, by the way, in the sundress, which is all in one. Yankee Stadium. Oh, you're talking about 26 championships before it was torn down. Certainly there are a lot of people who say it's about time. The time has come. I say nonsense to that. You don't do as many things as been done in that building, including, by the way, prize fights, concerts, the Pope coming over. It's baseball and a whole lot more. Yankee Stadium, if there is no particular order, let's just be honest. This one is number one with a bullet, at least in the United States of America. We move on. A venue perhaps you don't think about, and you don't really have to, except for one time a year. How about Churchill Downs? The Kentucky Derby. Never has one building been more famous for about 2 minutes worth of work. I don't even know what they do the other days of the year. Well, I guess they run horses, and people win, and people lose, and they win, place, and show, I guess. But for 2 minutes, the country's eyes absolutely turn to Churchill Downs, the most famous building, at least for that period of time, over the course of every year in the United States. Let us move on once again to building number 3, and we're actually going to cheat a little bit on this one. We'll go with the Rose Bowl as well as the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It is pretty amazing to think in one city you have 2 places, 5 Super Bowls for the Rose Bowl, 2 Olympics for the Coliseum, and everything that's gone on, including baseball and some of the great events, seriously, in this country's history, have happened in Los Angeles. We'll double it up. We'll go Rose Bowl, Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, stick them together and tell you, you got yourself a whole lot of history going on in Los Angeles. A fairly newish city that absolutely has a storied 20th century plus tradition in the world of sports. We move on to Augusta National. Similar to Kentucky Derby in this regard. You never really see it. You never really hear about it except for 4 days out of the year. It's not 2 minutes like the Derby. It's 4 days out of the year where Augusta National takes front and center, big-time stage, spotlight, ready for it. Maybe no venue is more ready, by the way, for their close-up than Augusta National is year in and year out. Congratulations to all parties for making this event what it is, including CBS, Billy Payne, et al. Let's go to Madison Square Garden. Now, this is the newest version of the Garden. It opened up in 1968. You got to go back to the older versions of the Garden to really make this one complete. Ali Frazier, Dempsey fought in the old Madison Square Garden. Certainly some basketball, hockey, not a lot of championships, but a storied history when you talk about political conventions and some of the ancillary stuff that's happened. Madison Square Garden in its entirety certainly would be one of those venues. Let's move over to Lambeau Field. Really the only place in the NFL that you could say this about. Storied tradition, it's never going away. I know the Dodgers left Brooklyn. The Packers are never leaving Green Bay, and while they've added on, there's no way on God's green earth I can believe they ever knocked this building down. This one is the pro football version of Yankee Stadium, except Yankee Stadium's gone. I don't think this one ever goes away until they stop playing football. Camden Yards. Why is Camden Yards included in this? Well, it's the newest of the new that actually started it all, the retro buildings. Think about how many new buildings there are in the world of sports and what was always the goal. Let's make it the Camden Yards of whatever sport it was. This was the one that went retro for new money in 1991, but you also had a building that absolutely became the copycat building for everybody else who followed. That makes it, while a lot of bad baseball has been played there, it does make it a really important building because people realize what you can get, the benefit of doing it right in terms of your construction. And everybody's tried to follow suit since then. Boston Garden. You can't include any of these lists. A lot of people don't even know that this is what the outside of the Boston Garden looked like. Of course, it's gone now, but the Boston Garden, if for no other reason, the championships by the Boston Celtics, but good hockey at times, again, prize fights and ancillary stuff have gone on in the Boston Garden, has to be included in a conversation like this. The U.S. Open Tennis Center, it's just really a couple of week period that this building matters once again, but you have great stories, great traditions. Nighttime tennis at the U.S. Open is very different than Wimbledon. The United States Open does have its place, and so does its building. Wrigley Field, we'll couple it up with Fenway Park, and actually let's go back to Wrigley, couple it up with Fenway Park because kind of the last man standing when you talk about the storied buildings, certainly in the world of baseball with Yankee Stadium going away, but there is this charm that you now have with this building that doesn't exist anyplace else. And here's your wild card. It's called ESPN. It's up in Bristol. You can make an argument that this is singularly the most important sports venue in the country because everything that we now know and everything we get as easily as we do began in 1979 with a couple of trailers, and it turned into a complex. Let's give them their credit. They don't do everything right, but the stuff they have done right, bringing sports to you and me, more easily accessible, and cable that you don't really pay for, ESPN this facility up in Bristol has to be included as a wild card. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon.